Dear audience, welcome to the show POWERchat. In today's episode, we'll be discussing about education in federal setup. Joining us today is Dr. Babu Ram Adhikari, member of the High-Level National Education Commission. Please allow me to welcome him. Welcome to the show, Dr. Adhikari.
Thank you.
How have you been?
I'm cooking.
Well, you have long been engaged in education sector. How do you analyze the education system of Nepal as such?
Well, yes, I have been engaging in education sector since many years to come. And from pre-primary level to university level, I'm watching very seriously what is the realistic education system in Nepal and what happened before and how we are moving nowadays and how we will be in the education system as per the federal political system in Nepal. It's my experience. I think I have been teaching more than 35 years from pre-primary to university level. There are so many points related to students, related to the teachers, professors, management, budgetary parts, and so on. Education means actually what type of knowledge should transfer to the people by the education. We have to think, we have to look from there. During these years, while we are engaging here in education sector, the policy is more or less good. But the main part is the implementation part. There are so many problems in implementation part and somehow in policy too. So policy always guides how it would be or should be implemented and so on. So what I like to say here, that is, policy should be prepared or made as per our situation, as per the needs of our countries, as per the realistic context of our country.
I will come back to you on the policy reform issues.
Yeah.
What are the key challenges that Nepal faces at the moment in relation to education when we are going through a new federal setup?
Yeah, mainly up to now, we don't think or did not think about the realistic situation of the country. That is need-based education. More or less than what we did before, that is we copied most of the things from others, but didn't think about the need of our situation. That is the big challenge nowadays also seen here. And another one is management system. How to manage education. Managing education, this is the big issues and challenge. Under the management, there are so many other sectors also affected. Generally, the first one is the budgetary management. Second one is the teachers management. Third one is the problem of access and equality and so on. Because our country is the diverse country, linguistically diversity, geographical diversity, cultural diversity. Then we have to think about that real situation of our diversity and our need. But up to now, what I found, that is no good relationship between those type of points.
Dr. Adhikari, access is something everyone is talking about for a long time. How can education be access to all kind of people in this country? What should be done for that?
First of all, we have to make a good policy. and policy should be reached up to the grassroots levels. We said education for all. Not only that, quality education for all, we said. And according to our new constitution also, it mentions education is compulsory, free and compulsory. And recently, the act also passed from the parliament. And if we look the policy there is policy. But again, I'd like to focus one thing here, that is we have to think over that implementation sector. What I'm saying nowadays, there are still around 4%, 3 point something, 4% children, school age children, they are out of school up to now. And how to bring them into the mainstream, that is the main challenge here. And if we say education is for all, quality education is for all should get the access of education, then we have to reach there through local government now, because we have the three tier of the government: federal government, provincial government, and local government. And this issue should be more that means focused by the local government, because they know the real situation of the access of the children.
Well, Dr. Adhikari, you are one of the members at high level National Education Commission. That was formed 2 months back with the mandate of 4 months.
4 months,
2 months to go. Could you tell us the progress with this commission? What are the key areas of reform the commission is considering in relations to changed political context?
Well, this commission was formed 2 months back, and now the progress is going on. What the commission did before, then there are 25 members in this commission under the chairmanship of Minister of Education, Science and Technology. We divided the members into 8 different thematic groups, from pre-primary to higher education. The first group is working on that is basic education, including early childhood, and the next group in that is secondary education, higher education, then governance, finance and partnership group. Another one is the related to the technical and vocational groups. In this way, there are 8 thematic groups, and they have been working concerning to so many stakeholders related to those thematic groups. Up to now, during these 2 months periods, we have 5 that means full quorum meetings, and those meetings decided some of the working modalities, some of the common generic types of questionnaires, preparation of those questionnaires, and some of the other way out how to work and so on. Now all the thematic groups, they seem very busy because we have very limited time. So in center, then we have conducted so many listed and contacted so many stakeholders, institutional and somewhere the individual also, and we invited them, we are inviting them and taking a lot of suggestion related to the thematic groups and thematic topics also. As concerned to me, then I am working in the governance, financing and partnership
for education.
And main part, very dominant part is that is a philosophical sectors. Now the political system is changed. We are in federal systems. So based on what philosophy our coming education should be seen or mentioned, that is the main part now we are discussing. Up to now we are following somehow British education system, somehow American education systems.
Do you have any idea what type of system would Nepal follow in future?
We cannot cross all these things, but based on our reality and based on our that means the need, we have to moderate. Somehow we have to moderate. That is what the Constitution says. The country is then in the progress of socialism like this. So based on that, we have to prepare all kinds of policies related to that areas, economical part, educational part, political management, everything should be guided by that constitution.
Do you have any key discussion in relations to private, public and government education system?
Yes, for the Constitution of Nepal, it is very clearly mentioned that education is the fundamental rights, and it should be in the responsibility of the state. So without any doubt, what I would like to say here, that is up to grade 12, that is the responsibility of the state, of the country, or the nation. So no one can deny the Constitution. So Constitution clearly mentioned education is the fundamental right. So up to school education, I think no chance of running.
Previous commissions have also talked about education being free up to grade 10 or 12. You know, it's been in discussion for a long time. But since you are working with the resource and governance thematic area in the commission, do you think that is it feasible for Nepal to make education free at the moment? How can resources be generated?
Okay, that is the another part of discussions, and I see it is possible if we change our mindset from policy level to the implementation level. It is easy to implement. Our condition is quite different. Before I mention here, everywhere what I hear, how to manage the budgetary part for those type of things. Now everything is changed, so we have to change the education system also, because without education we cannot imagine the prosperous country, the strength of the country, everything. That is why the government, the policy level people should allocate at least 20% of the national budget. If the government is committed or will be committed in near future, then everything's related to this part is possible. That is the main thing, is budgetary things. Other things we can manage. So we are discussing on the allocation of the budget. That is, at least if we look in the GDP, 4 to 5% of the GDP or 20% of the national budget. If we can manage in this way, then we can manage about this free and compulsory education also.
What would be the role of different tiers of governance from local to province and central level?
Yeah, Constitution mentioned that up to grade 12, then everything should be managed by the local government. That is their rights. But what I am seeing now, lack of the coordination, then so many questions are aroused by the people. Is it possible? Again, so many people ask the same questions. But there are so many alternatives to manage education and in local level also. till now we are not thinking about the education tax. Somehow it is mentioned, but not properly implemented the education tax. And in future, with the good coordination among these three tiers of the government, local government, provincial government and the federal governments, then we should, each and every people who are in policy level and implementation level, either the federal government or provincial government or the local government, they have to think about the good coordination on the issues of the education. Then if there is a good coordination among them, then why not possible? It's possible.
Well, Dr. Adhikari, could you tell us in detail the key recommendations so far from the Commission side in relations to future education plans and strategies that Nepal would adopt?
Yeah. First of all, we have to think about the interest of the students or interest of the children. Another one is the global scenario and global market and so on. The third one is what's about our reality. Then with these 3 points, if we discuss, then we reach in the conclusion for the future recommendation related to the education. The first one is what the people want. That is, they want more and more, that means ICT based education, either parents or the children or students. Then one strong recommendation should be given there, how to link our education with technology. That is the main thing we have to recommend. Another one is there is some debate on the language issues. Constitution said that there is a right of education in mother language or mother tongue. But we have to prepare the human resources. How to prepare the human resources? So we have to recommend strongly, yes, that's the right of the children to learn in their own language. And we have to recommend that such type of language policy should be there, multi-sectoral language policy, or that's a tri-language policy and so on. So in a language issue, we have to give the suggestions or the recommend very clearly. That is another part. And another main part is what is the need of the country now. What we are seeing, we say that our country is the agricultural country. We have a lot of possibilities in agriculture sector, tourism sectors, like hydro sectors and so on. That is why our future, that means a target, should be related with those areas which are very, very necessary and which will be necessary in our future. That means the context and future development in education and so on. So we have to, that means recommend very strongly on this sector also. And another one I had already mentioned about the budgeted part. We should strongly recommend, please, that means keep the education in the first priority, from here and there, this corner or that corner, budgetary part and other parts, and that would be our strong, that means recommendation. Another one is about the management of these private schools or institutional. We say institutional school now, and how to manage the private education, whether it will be necessary in up to school level or higher level. What I am saying now is our discussion or the thematic group discussion. That is, we have to strongly recommend to the government about this one.
You think that the privatization of education in Nepal is escalating the gap between haves and haves not accessing education system?
Yeah.
How can it be addressed?
would be addressed. That means in higher education, that should be the liberal policy in privatization. But the government should identify and recommend to the private owners or who are ready to invest in private sectors. That is how more we need the medical sectors, how more we need in that is the engineering sectors, or that is a pedagogical or teaching sectors and so on. We have to identify the category, or we have to identify the needs area, and then we should open the liberal policy in higher education. But in school education, then it is not necessary to run the private institutes like this situation. And about 6,000 private schools are registered in government data. But do you think yourself, are they running well? No, of course. Only a few institutions are running well, and they are playing the dominant role everywhere. But other private schools are fighting for survival. So in this situation, it is not necessary to open such type of policy in private sectors. So I think we cannot stop right now, but we have to recommend to the government, that is during 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, like a periodical plans. Yes, we have to recommend some of the periodical plan, and in one of the time, then it should be under the government responsibilities. Yes, so it is not necessary to run the private school and public school having such type of big gap between haves and haves not. There is a problem.
One of the major areas of reform in education system is most criticized is that of the documentation, information management system, resulting to a very poor performance of educational institutions. How is the Commission considering for making academic institutions technically competent?
So before also I have mentioned there is a technology in education. In education means everywhere related to the education. So now we are discussing on the policy auditing also. Yes, if you look the data of the Ministry of Education, they are also not that means fixed. They are also not seen appropriate. So we have to introduce technology in each and every sectors of education, in educations.
What would one expect in relations to assessment and examination reforms?
Very nice question you asked. That is, now students are always terrified by this system. We introduce grading system, but again we manage according to the numerical system again. Up to 90, that's a A, up to like this. So first of all, we have to change the mentality of all level of peoples related to education. That is, exam is such type of work that is as usual work. But what up to now, what is happening while exam is coming, or that means the student look here and there, and they are always feeling some of the terror, some of the stress, and so on. Then we have to change the mentality of the people first, and second one is we have to change the existing examination system also. Evaluation could not be done or cannot be done or within a 3 hours examination. Then there should be the overall evaluation of the student. We have to introduce the system. according to the performance of the students, according to the performance of the teachers too, and that means according to the student interest and their activities, attendance, everything should be there, and we have to evaluate the student like this, and we have to give them the grading according to those areas, not only the copies and the numbers and so on. We have to change the examination system.
Well,
also.
Dr. Adhikari, there are many interesting issues, but we
Yeah.
are coming to the end of the show. You
okay.
have only 2 months to go
Yeah.
in relations to the timeline of this commission.
Yeah.
How do you ensure that there would be no another commission in future? Because there were many commissions,
Yeah, yeah. You're
formed
right,
by
you're
the
right.
ministry.
Yeah.
And what are the key areas of reform that the government of Nepal would consider in relations to federal setup? Very quickly.
Okay. We are hopeful because this commission was formed by this government for at least coming 25 to 50 years education policy. So we have been working hard, and we have been, that means, discussing with the key and prominent peoples and institutions in relation to the educations. And very quickly, then we have we should prioritize the key areas, and we have to recommend the government. And this recommendation, I hope, I believe, and the commission believes that it would be owned by the government, and very soon then it would be in the implementation level, we hope.
Well, Dr. Adhikari, thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Okay, thank you very much to you and your entire team for giving me such type of opportunity, discussion on the education and current situation of Nepal and so on.
Dear audience, time now to wrap up this show. Keep watching us. See you next week. Namaste.